Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. We are the Gaming Stooges.
I'm Jack.
You can call me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
Can I go home now?
It's time for PlayStation 1.
Oh, okay.
No. That's just the beginning.
Oh.
We're going to talk about the PlayStation 1, Landon, which means I get to talk a bunch and you get to scream and or take a nap. Howdy, folks. It's time for another episode of the podcast, and we did a poll on our Patreon, and we decided we were going to put the debut video game consoles between Nintendo and Sony together, head-to-head. So the Nintendo Entertainment System and the PlayStation. And PlayStation won by 1 vote, so that's going to be what we cover today. And in a couple weeks, we'll come back for the NES, so it'll be pretty fun. So, for those of you who might be living under a rock and have never heard of the Sony PlayStation, that's Landon. The Sony PlayStation is an incredibly popular console from the 5th generation of gaming consoles. That was the N64, the Sega Saturn, and the PS1. And I think another one that I might be forgetting because it literally sold nothing over here. But you know what? That's fine. But PlayStation came out in North America on September 9th, 1995, and it came out at the famous launch price of $299. And total worldwide sales, it made 102.49 million units. This sales were updated as late as March 31st, 2005. That was the last time that they updated the sales, and it said 102.49. And yeah. Interestingly, it was the first console to reach the 100 million units sold mark. I don't know if they're just considering home consoles and Game Boy actually beat it to the punch between Game Boy and Game Boy Color, or which is probably the case. I'm guessing that the Game Boy probably was actually the first video game system in general, because the PlayStation 1 did take a little bit to get to the 100 million mark. But in any case, it did get a major revision with the PS1, which was released just 5 years later, September 19, 2000, which is actually, I did not know this, it makes up a little over 28 million of those worldwide sales. So it did pretty good with the PS1 model that came out a few years later.
The weird smooth one.
Yeah, it's a little baby. It's a little baby PS1.
It had they shaved off the edges.
They
and made it white.
They trimmed it down. They made it small. Yeah, it's cute. The PlayStation 1 has over 4,000 games. Did you know that? Now,
that's a lot.
1,200 of those games ended up making it over to North America. As you can probably guess, a good couple thousand of those are Japan only, because Japan developers are fucking crazy, and they'll make 15 million games for everything. And also, because of all those games, the PlayStation 1 had 962 million software unit sales. So almost a billion. So basically for every one PlayStation out there was 9 or 10 games owned by every single PlayStation on average. It's pretty crazy.
That's kind of crazy, actually.
It's a pretty good, interesting attach rate. I kind of wish that I went back in time and went to previous podcasts and did the software unit sales, because software unit sales are pretty interesting.
Sounds like we'll have to have a
PlayStation
whole revision of podcasts one year just for that.
Oh
no.
Boy. Just for that.
Just for that.
Just to mention that.
Now, I'll list them off and we'll talk more about them as our podcast goes on, but I just kind of made a list of notable games and series that were on PlayStation. Not all of these debuted on PlayStation. Some of these actually came out on something else first, usually Saturn, and then made their way over shortly after. But you got Gran Turismo, you got your Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, You got Final Fantasy was on here in like every way, shape, and form. Namely, 7, Tactics, 8, and 9 are like the big ones, but they also re-released the other stuff. So you got Legend of Dragoon, you got Tomb Raider, there was Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid. Dragon Quest 7 came out over here, known as Dragon Warrior 7 at the time, as one of the longest. 100-hour RPG is like kind of not too rare nowadays, but back in the day, that was insane. Like, did you have something you wanted to say, Landon, about Dragon Quest 7?
No, because I haven't played it. I mean,
yeah,
it's gross.
Yeah. You got,
That's what everyone says.
You got Hot Shots Golf. There was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which was on a lot of different systems, but pretty popular on PlayStation. Silent Hill, Xenogears, Ape Escape, Parappa the Rapper. You had Tekken, Need for Speed, Twisted Metal. There was Digimon World. You had Chrono Cross, which nowadays, like, not too many people like think of it as highly as it used to, but it was super critically acclaimed at the time. You had Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Didn't sell super well, but is known as like one of the greatest games on the system. You had the debut of the Persona sub-series of Shin Megami Tensei. So that was released as Revelations Persona at the time. There was Rayman, there was Croc, there's a bunch of other stuff I didn't mention. And when I mention all this stuff, like some of this are whole like series of games, some of these are just 1 or 2 games, but there's a lot of games on the PlayStation. I don't think you two have anything to say about your initial experiences with PlayStation growing up.
Not
I'll
a
let
word.
you know when I get one, and then we can go over that. How does that sound?
I'm not actually confident that I've ever played on original PS1 hardware, now that I think about it, because, like, the PS2 was backwards compatible, like, fully. And by the time I got into video games, the PS2 was already pretty well established, so no.
Yeah, I was going to say,
right.
I know I've played PlayStation 1 games. Like, I had a Lilo and Stitch PlayStation 1 game, but I owned a PS2. But I didn't have a PS1 memory card.
Yeah.
So
So you could never save
I could
it.
never save. So I didn't really play it. I don't have that game anymore. I do own one PlayStation title, and it's a Japanese copy of a Dragon Ball game. So
I'm not surprised.
I have some
Gotta
that I
collect them
need
all.
to get, but they're gross. Ultimate Battle 22? No, thank you.
PS1 Lilo and Stitch game is crazy. That came out Lilo and Stitch came out in 2002.
Now, that's one thing that's interesting about the PlayStation, and we can talk more about it. I'll talk more about it further into the podcast. But one thing about the PlayStation 1 is that it continued to be very popular well into the PlayStation 2's life. Like, the PlayStation 2, don't get me wrong, it was very popular even right out of the gate. But as a fun fact, I didn't put this on my notes, I forgot to, but thanks to the PS1 revision in 2000, the PlayStation 1 was, I mean, also just because the PS2 came out at the end of the year, but the PlayStation 1 was like the best-selling system of 2000, and I think 2001 even. Like, PS2s were like super popular, but like PlayStation was still like just totally fine. Like, there are games like Lilo and Stitch and Digimon World and Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories and a bunch of other stuff that came out in like 2002, 2003. Like, PlayStation 1 games were still coming out pretty commonly, actually. And it's funny now because you like go on Reddit and people are like complaining that there's, you know, PS4 games still coming out, or that there's Switch 1 games still coming out with the Switch 2. And it's like, brother, you should have been there in 2003. We still had PS1 games when the PS2 was out. It was awesome.
It's true.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know why people complain about that.
I don't know.
In general,
it's not an issue, especially when your
It's
current
like-
system's backwards compatible. Just play the damn game.
Yeah, it's like, who cares if they're still making Switch 1 or PS4 games? Just play them on the current gen hardware, which, I mean, if you don't have that, then why are you bitching about them still making PS4 games?
I don't know. But I am the big like PlayStation 1 guy out of the three of us, at least, and that is because It was like one of the main systems when I... It was one of the main systems that I got to play growing up. I tried to look over a chat just to read what Al was saying. He said he played PS1 back in his senior year of high school. That is pretty late to first play PS1. I will not lie.
Unless Al is secretly 50 years
I was
old.
gonna say, that tells me nothing.
That'd be...
I know no more about Al than I knew prior to the start of this podcast.
He is rough.
Don't ruin the magic.
Okay. All right. I won't say anything. I will not say anything. But I've played NES, I've played Super Nintendo and Genesis, but I'm not going to lie. Like, all of that came from late 1997. Like, I was like 5, almost 6, into like early 1999. Like, all of that happened in the span of like 2 years, we'll say. And then by 1999, I already was playing PlayStation because the family got a PlayStation in order to play Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. So from like 1999 until not even when we got a PS2, like I still owned a PS1 into 2005 because that's how I played Final Fantasy VII.
Gross. So
I had a PlayStation 1 for like 6 years. Like I had PS1 for a really long time. So
it's funny seeing the discontinue date for certain consoles, because some of them it's like as soon as they're done putting games out, it's like that's it, they're done. Like the Wii U was dead before the Switch came out. The PS1 was discontinued March 23rd of 2006.
Yep.
The same year the PS3 released.
Yep. And it managed to last the entire PS2 life cycle before the PS3, basically. It's insane.
But you could say the same thing about the PS2.
Yes, the PS2 wasn't discontinued until after the PS4 had come out. So
yeah,
it's very PlayStation for them to just be like, oh, we'll just support the next system until like 5 years after the next one comes out.
Well, I mean, if you've got the components for refurbishment and stuff, it's easy enough to support it.
And Sony's the type that, since they're willing to like subsidize their hardware, like they're willing to sell at a loss, like they'll have just a ton of units or a ton of components for units. So it's like, why not just make more of them while you can? And I mean, it's nice to have a system that lasts a long time, because it's like you buy it and you know that like 10 years from now, you might still have a game or two coming out.
Yeah. Or the majority of the library of games still coming out for it. Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah. If your name is PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played so much, even just as a kid. Like, I mean, I started with Spyro 1 and Crash Bandicoot 2. Like, those were the two games I really started with. And then we would get Spyro 2, we would get Spyro 3. We had Crash Bandicoot 1, but we only kind of rented Crash Bandicoot 3. So I didn't really get to play that one too much. We were big fans of Hot Shots Golf. I don't know whose idea it was to get Hot Shots Golf, but bless their heart, we all would take turns and like we'd like pass the controller around and just like see if we could beat the next CPU. I did play a lot of Ape Escape. That was like my favorite game for like a good while. Because by the time we got the PlayStation, they had already come out with the DualShock. For those of you who may not be like super like into gaming history, the PlayStation came out at a weird time when 3D gaming was just starting. And so the idea of having a stick to control 3D movement wasn't really popular yet until the N64 came out like 2 years later. So they eventually decided we should probably put out a controller that has the sticks on it. So we got the DualShock in 1997. After they had like a dual analog like as a stopgap earlier in the same year, and then like it just didn't. They just like replaced it within like a few months. I don't know what that was about, but we got the DualShock, and that was something that Sony decided to stick with for like 15 years. Like they kept it the same for the PlayStation 2. They kept it the same for the PlayStation 3 with just a few small changes. And I mean, they changed it a bunch by the time the DualShock 4 came out, but like it was still DualShock, so it's a tried and true controller, and it's thanks to that we got games like Ape Escape, because if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to play a game like that. They did a lot of weird shit back in the day. 3D gaming was weird, and I think especially for the PlayStation, it was even weirder. Like with the N64, like it came with the controller that had a stick. So like developers knew we were going to make this kind of game because the controller is this. But when PlayStation came out, it was like they didn't originally have the stick. So like 3D movement, they had to work with a D-pad for like 3 years until they had the stick. So even then, because the DualShock wasn't just like everywhere, you had to account for the people that didn't have one. They were making games so you could play it with either the D-pad or the stick. So like there wasn't such a thing as camera movement mapped to the other stick, because you couldn't do that. If you wanted to control the camera, you had to do the shoulder buttons for your to control your camera, because otherwise, if you didn't have a DualShock, it was like fuck you then. So the right stick was usually kind of just mapped to like really like simple stuff that like didn't like wasn't necessary in case like you were selling it and somebody like didn't have the DualShock at the time. But later games, like as time would go on, you'd get like obviously Ape Escape was trying to like sell that controller, so that was something that was different. But I think like super late like PS1 games, by the time like the PS2 was out, were finally like just starting to use like the stick for camera control, because that's also what PS2 games finally started doing, since it was like just baked in. So PlayStation 1, as far as like how games were made in order to control, very weird time, I will say that. If you've never had to control a 3D platformer with the shoulder buttons, besides Mario 64, it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
But I'm here to talk at you about a bunch of my favorite games, just specifically my experience with them, because I mean, Landon has played what, Parappa the Rapper?
Tony the Rapping Beaver.
Tony the Rapping Beaver.
I have played Tony the Rapping Beaver. I think I mean, probably my brother had a PlayStation, so I probably watched him play more than like I actually played. I do know I had some stepsisters for like a split second who were really into Spyro, so I watched them play Spyro. And then also, I'm pretty sure I brought this up at one point or another, but back in the day, supermarkets used to have like a kid zone where they had like an employee watch your kids, and then you could just drop your kids off like psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was
a different time.
No, not really when you think about it. I mean, I'm thinking about this from a different perspective. I'm thinking about this from the perspective of parents have always been the type to be like, well, I got to do my own thing, so my kid's got to be preoccupied with something else. So this was just the 2000 equivalent of that.
Yeah, it was pretty much like, hey, you play ball with my child while I go buy bread or something. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
there was those. Not something that they continue to have for multiple reasons. Anyway, they would have video games set up in those, kind of like when a McDonald's would just have like a Nintendo 64 in the corner, and you could play that. So I played Spyro. I vividly remember playing Spyro at in one of those like daycare death zones at a fucking supermarket.
Daycare death zones.
That's what I'm gonna call it. That's trademark that, Jack. Get us that as a trademark.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know what's funny
death zones.
is in all of my time like growing up and like going to places that had like that sort of setup,
Yeah.
I think the only place I saw a PlayStation set up was just at Walmart, which is where you would expect it to be set up. That, and I think GameStop when they had like some kiosks for that. Like, I don't think I've ever like been to like a supermarket or like a non like gaming related area and having that set up.
It was definitely.
I think there was a McDonald's that had an N64, but that's it.
I feel like it was definitely like a Fred Meyer Kroger type spot. It might have been a Walmart.
That's why.
But it was
I was going to say
was
that
specifically in like in those like daycare-esque areas, not in like the electronics section where they had like a demo unit. This is like very specific in one of those where you were just playing like you would at like a dentist office, like, which I've done that as well, where I've played a fucking PS2 at a dentist's office before.
I think I remember doing that one time because there was one like doctor's office that I went to that had a PS2 set up in their office's kids area, but like that's the closest thing to that.
When I was a kid, my dentist's office had a Genesis.
That's pretty cool.
And they had fucking Sonic 2 hooked up to it.
Damn.
So that was badass.
That is badass.
Way better than
as far as like
Spyro 2. Arguably.
I'm
making
as
the
far
argument.
as like
it's the PS1 version of Spyro 2.
As far as
version now. It's Sonic 2. It has tails.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. But as far as like kids zones, I distinctly remember like there was a local like carpet store, I want to say, that had like a little nook. No, I'm serious. Trust me.
Oh no, I trust you.
It was like a carpet store that had like a little nook in the back. It was like a small like 1 or 2 room store. It wasn't like huge. But they had like a little nook that had like for my kid mind, a huge TV. It was like probably like a 30-something inch CRT. And they had a PS2 hooked up to it. And they had like all of the street games, like the NFL and NBA Street. And that was fucking badass.
30-inch for a CRT is pretty crazy.
That is pretty...
Yeah, no, it was big. I remember it being
chunky.
big.
So, yeah. Anyway, this has been Kid Zone.
Yeah, this has been Kid Zone.
The Kid Zone podcast. Yeah. We've deviated from PS1.
Sorry, but that's my like...
Anyway.
What I remember of like playing a PS1 is like watching other people play PS1s and then going to the daycare death traps like areas of like supermarkets and playing Spyro.
Yeah.
So.
I genuinely have, I think, at least as a kid anyway, excuse me, like zero PS1 experience until I like got my own PS2 later on. And would buy like a handful of PS1 games. Like I've played some. Obviously, I played the PS1 Tony Hawk games. But most of my experience with the early Tony Hawk games were on the GameCube. You know, being a GameCube child.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah, I don't know. There's like a handful of PS1 games that I've like played thoroughly, but for the most part, it's kind of a blind spot for me.
I mean, I'll say like when it comes to like thorough, like completing games, like I was a kid, so that my experience with that is limited to Spyro, Spyro 2, Spyro 3, Ape Escape. And that is it until I turned to a teenager and played through Final Fantasy VII.
See, this sounds like
I didn't even beat Crash 2. I got pretty far. I never beat it, though.
That sounds like me and the Game Boy, where it's like, yeah, I played Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Gold, Pokemon
Oh, hey,
Crystal,
Pixel's here.
And I owned Croc 2 for the Game Boy Color.
Pixel brings up a game I was going to bring up earlier, the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone game, which I can't fucking believe it is the 6th best-selling game for the console.
I can, but not because it was any good, but because Harry Potter was a sensation.
The Harry
Potter
craze was real.
So it was just two really, really big things just colliding perfectly. So
because it came out like around the same time that the first movie did. Yep. And like the craze, like people were fucking crazy about it. So of course, like, oh shit, I get to play a game where you can be in Hogwarts, but the game is dog shit. It's so bad.
I mean,
oh man,
there's definitely worse PS1 games out there. The PS1 has some really awful games, but The Harry Potter
it's
one is
it's so funny.
It's definitely not a game that people remember fondly. They just remember it.
That has to be like one of the best selling licensed games of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there are probably a handful of others that have sold more, but I can't think of another console that has like a licensed product in the top 10 best selling games on the system.
You know what's crazy is, speaking of sales, and I mentioned this when we did our top consoles podcast a few weeks back or a month back, but the PlayStation 1 has the same situation as the PlayStation 2, where you would think, okay, 100 million units of this system sold, so there has to be like some like huge game that like at least a quarter of the people that played this system own or more.
Nope.
Not a single game reaches even 15
it was the same
million
with
units.
Yeah, no, the best-selling game is Gran Turismo, which sold a little under 11 million, and that's honestly crazy.
And I kind of like that, like, because yes, the PS1, not as much to the extent of the PS2, but the PS1 does partially sell well because it was also a way to play CDs, so you could like play music off your TV. But one of the things about the PlayStation 1 that I think is really cool, at least in my opinion, is that it and the PlayStation 2 have this thing where like the library is so diverse that like you could get like 100 people together in a room and ask them all, what did you own for the PlayStation 1? And I guarantee you there'd be some deviation between any two people in that room. Like there would be like something where like they'd be like, oh, I didn't have that one, or oh, I had this one instead of that one. Like there, you would never find two people that had the exact same library down to a T. It is insane. And I like that, like the fact that there's so much diversity. Like even if we just talk about like the notable stuff that I listed, like you got survival horror, you got racing games, you've got 3D mascot platformers, you've got a bunch of JRPGs, you've got adventure games, like action adventure games, like, you know, your Tomb Raider, your Metal Gear Solid. You've got like sports games, extreme sports games like Pro Skater. I didn't mention the sports games, but there's a lot of sports games with like Madden and FIFA and NHL hockey and NBA. Like this was a good time for sports games, to be honest. Like this was when like sports games coming out was still like a pretty big thing.
You had Jet Moto.
You had Jet Moto. You had fighting games like Tekken. You had Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. There was Mega Man games for 2D platformers. There's so many different genres. Hot Shots Golf is a golf game, like, and Tiger Woods games. There was a few decently like popular ones there as well. Like there's so many different genres that like the PS1 had everything. So
I still just can't get over the fact that there are only 5 games that outsold Harry Potter on the PS1. 2 of them are Final Fantasies, 2 of them are Gran Turismos, and the other one is Tekken 3. Harry Potter outsold all 3 Crash games, all 3 Spyro games, Metal Gear Solid,
I hate that.
the Tomb Raider games.
I hate this so much.
All of the Ape Escape games.
Like every iconic game.
Every Tony Hawk game.
Yeah.
Every iconic game for the PlayStation
that you
1.
can think of.
Harry Potter did it.
With a handful of exceptions. Harry Potter did better, and it sold 8 million.
I hate this so much.
8 million copies of Harry Potter.
It sold almost 4 times the amount of units of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories.
I hate that too.
It's not quite, but it's like, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Had 2.5 mil, so it's not quite.
And you would think like,
but it's close.
I mean, I guess you would think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Would sell well because of like the craze that popped up at the time, and it did. But they also shoved out like 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Games in the span of like a couple years, so like you didn't have one game to get. It was like you had to like divide up your attention between like the Game Boy game and the Game Boy Advance game and the PS1 game and the PS2 game. So like
it sold over
not quite
4 times the amount that the PlayStation Spider-Man game from Neversoft sold.
I forgot that Neversoft did that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there you go.
I was gonna pull up and see, like, I was gonna be like, I bet Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the PS1 outsold Hogwarts Legacy. But no, it's not even close. Hogwarts Legacy sold 40 million.
Yeah. Some other things that I just wanted to point out about the PlayStation that I think is really cool is just the like it introduced a bunch of different things to gaming that like we had at least like last for like a little while. Because I already talked about like, 3D gaming, the DualShock and everything. But like you also had like memory cards for your game saves. Like that was something that the PS1, the PS2, the GameCube would all do. And even now, like you don't have devoted memory cards. But like, oh, and the Xbox 360 also had a form of this on top of like the hard drives. But like you do have like a lot of people like Landon, myself, like have like just like attachable just like USB hard drives, so that way there like you can just store your games. And just like the idea that like you could hold some stuff on an external device just in case anything happens to like the system itself,
or you could
is really cool.
Take your memory card over to a friend and like,
yep,
if they had some of the same games, you could just like keep playing from where you were at your house.
Yep. Or if like you wanted to just be able to play their game, and then like maybe one day, just in case, like you might pick up the game yourself, but you want to have progress on it, you could bring your memory card over, save a file, and then it'd be there for when you get the game yourself, maybe like for Christmas or something.
Or you could
like,
steal.
It was just
steal from a supermarket and then get caught and have to return the game, and then steal it again.
Did that happen to you? Are you speaking from experience or just like a hypothetical?
This is totally 100% just a hypothetical. But hypothetically speaking, if I stole a game from a supermarket and then had to return it because I got caught, I could continue playing it after I stole another copy.
Now, one thing about PlayStation games that I don't think Landon and Jack ever had to deal with, that is just a nostalgia, but the bad kind of nostalgia memory that like I wanted to bring up, is PlayStation games were like, they were very finicky. So like when you put the disc in, now keep in mind there were some games that were so big they had multiple discs. Like there was a bunch of games that were like 3 or 4 discs, and you had to like swap between them.
It's pretty common.
But like if you put a disc in, and it was like scratched up just a little bit, sometimes when you close the lid and you press the button, you got the the startup sound that I played at the beginning of the podcast. It would go. It would do the first part where like the Sony logo would pop up. You'd have the doo, doo, and then like before it goes to the second part, it would hang, and you'd be like praying in front of your TV to like the PlayStation gods. You'd be like, please play, please play, please play, and then it would pause, and then it would go PlayStation logo, and then go do 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 do, and then, like you'd be like, oh thank God. And that was an issue that I had because I did not take care of my games well enough, and my mom yelled at me for it. And to this day, I now take much, much, much better care of my games, because that was a lesson that she definitely made sure I learned. So, just a friendly tidbit. I hope we all learned our lesson. Don't be one of those weirdos that doesn't keep your discs in the case. Make sure they're in the case.
What?
Please.
Don't you just have like a CD binder that you just put them in?
Like,
I mean, some people do that.
I've seen that.
I mean, shout out to who was it again, Jack? Classic. Just tossing out discs everywhere without the
Lil B.
Lil B.
Little B.
Lil B.
Literally,
classic. Haven't played it yet.
Literally just took a stack of discs and just like started going, like just raw dog, just holding it and just tossing discs everywhere.
He does. That's Lil B. He doesn't care.
When you own a place. I mean, my God, I have seen some PS1 discs in my day, and oh man, the way some people have took care of that shit. I'm surprised there's any PlayStation 1 discs out there that are not scratched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, it was like N64, a lot of people will like remember And this was just a Nintendo cartridge thing on all 3 systems, like having to blow on the cartridge, even though technically you weren't supposed to do that. But it did remove dust and like particles, so like it usually worked, even though it wasn't supposed to. But like you would blow on it, you put it in the slot, and then you power it on, and then it wouldn't work, so you take it out, you blow on it, you put it back in again. Well, the PlayStation, it was a similar situation, except instead of blowing on a cartridge, you were wiping down your disc and then putting it in and then closing it. Not with sandpaper. That makes it worse.
Rough.
No, you know the no. You know what the stupid trick supposedly was using toothpaste.
I've heard toothpaste.
Like toothpaste and like a putting toothpaste on it and then washing it off. Like it doesn't work. I've tried it. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do anything.
I feel like I also heard like peanut butter. Obviously.
Yep, I've heard of that.
Crunchy.
I never tried that because
creamy.
that's just I've never tried that, and it sounds disgusting. And I did hear about it, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
This is just I feel like we're talking about the fucking. This is just like the episode of The Simpsons where Lisa gets gum stuck in her hair, and Marge is just going through like a fucking laundry list of items to get gum out, and it's just a fucking glob of mush that is just glued to her hair.
Al, did the toothpaste?
It's like, yeah, that's what it's peanut butter and toothpaste.
Toothpaste work for you on Radiant Dawn?
On your copy, yeah. I want to know if that actually works.
I mean, I feel like if you've ever bought if you've ever bought one of those at-home kits for like a disc buffer,
yeah, they sold a bunch of those.
The fucking shit. It was pretty much, it looked like toothpaste. So, like the little like cleaning solution.
I mean,
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they didn't sell them. I'm sure they didn't sell them back in the day, but they do sell like disc resurfacers that you can just take home and like you stick it in and then it'll resurface your disc.
That's what.
No, they sold those. I mean, they didn't. They wouldn't call them resurfacers, and they definitely were not as like advanced as the stuff that they started selling later on. But they had like these very like primitive like disc cleaners where like you would put it in and it would try to brush the surface down. Like they did sell those. Mm-hmm. They just were usually never any good, but they sold them.
Yeah, that's how you make money.
I had one, and
we sell one in my store.
I can tell you now, it like kind of worked, but also kind of didn't. Like it would work ever so slightly, but like if a disc was scratched up enough, that shit was just gone. There was no fixing it. But yeah, PlayStation discs, they were known for being like the main media for the console. They were the reason why so many developers went to make games for them, because it was a lot easier to make games on a CD-ROM based system, where the company that makes the system is like, okay, you guys can just make whatever the fuck you want, almost. As opposed to Nintendo, which was like really stringently controlling like who got cartridges to put games on the system for the N64. But they did not come with without their own problems. Like CD-ROMs, they had issues with loading, with the laser disc and like the condition of the discs. They also loaded a lot slower because they had to read all of the data on the disc.
Yep.
Like I said, you had to pray to the PlayStation gods that your disc would be read and it would continue on and let you through the actual game. And because of the bigger games, you have to swap discs. So you'd have games where like you had to make sure that not one disc was in good condition. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3, and sometimes 4 discs were all in good. All of them have to be in good condition, or depending on the game, there is aspects of the game you may not be able to play. So,
yep.
But yeah, it was fun times.
Hope all 3 discs of your Final Fantasy VII work.
With Final Fantasy VII, it's a little weird because like it's just the FMVs. So like as long as one of the discs worked, you could swap to a different disc and you could continue to play as if like you were no matter where you were. It just like the FMV were like labeled for like the different discs and it would just play the other FMV. So like you could literally load up the FMV from a different disc in order to continue playing. One game though that was not like that was The Legend of Dragoon. One of my favorite games on the system. I love Legend of Dragoon, but it is 4 discs And whenever you wanted to go between certain areas of the game, you had to switch discs. So like, even like, I imagine me. I played Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9, and even though there's tons of discs on those systems, once you got to the later discs, you almost never needed the older discs, like unless you were starting a new game. So like you could just get away with always playing on disc 4, disc 3. Legend of Dragoon was not like that because the way that they compressed the game down, there was like, this part of the game is here. This part of the game is on this disc. So if I went from like an area that was on disc 4 to an area that was back on disc 3, the game would prompt me when I want to go back there, please insert disc 3. And I'd be like, okay. I'd open up the system, put in disc 3 and keep playing. As much as I loved Legend of Dragoon, that is a thing that the PlayStation did. But I mean, at least with the PlayStation 1, that means I got all of those great JRPGs. Even to this day, there's a bunch of JRPGs on the system I still haven't played yet, and I do want to play one day. Like, I've never touched Xenogears, never touched Chrono Cross, I've never touched the original Persona, although I will be playing that in some capacity soon. There's a lot of good games on the PlayStation that I still want to play that I have not played yet. I mean, I just got to Silent Hill for the first time. Not a JRPG, but a PS1 game for the first time last year. Like 2025, and I'm still playing PS1 games for the first time.
No.
So
Silent Hill is a Japanese role-playing game. You play the role.
You play the role of a character,
the role
and it is
Harry
made by a
Mason.
Japanese developer.
What more? How
Fair enough.
How
There you
more
go.
Japanese RPG can you get than that?
Can you get truly?
You know, fair point. Fair
Pixel
enough.
says Chrono Cross is fun. I like that one. You know, I have played Chrono Cross, and it was the PS1 version. I bought, like, how more Japanese? How more? About 5% more. That's how more Japanese you can get. That's the difference between Chrono Cross and Silent Hill. That's how much more. Anyway, yeah. I feel like the majority of my, like, I've played some PS1 games was because the PS3 and Vita had the PS1 classics. And, like, Chrono Cross, I played Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, technically. It's not the PS1 version, but it is a PS1 game. I played a very small amount of that. Some of the Resident Evils, and probably the one I put the most time into was actually Final Fantasy VI. Was through the PS1 Classic. Yeah, so
because the PS1 was they re-released Final Fantasy 1 and 2 together. They re-released Final Fantasy 4 and Chrono Trigger together.
Obviously,
not Final Fantasy 3.
Best Final Fantasy
Final Fantasy game,
yeah.
Chrono Trigger. And then they released Final Fantasy 5 and 6 together.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is that I always thought that, like, the PlayStation 1, because the discs always had like a black underside for all of the discs, I always thought that that's like a thing that the PS1 discs had to have to be read correctly. And no, you didn't, because when Square started continuing to release their PS1 releases of the Final Fantasy games, they just put them on regular ass fucking discs later on. Like, I'm not going to get up to get it, but I have the PS1 copies of Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 4, and because I bought much later prints of them that they were selling through their Square store, they're just regular ass discs underneath. They don't have like the typical like black layer underside that they had on most PS1 games, which is interesting.
They just went to Walmart and bought blank CDs and was like, all right, let's print them, bitch.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. I mean, maybe not Walmart specifically, but they definitely just bought like regular ass fucking CDRs and just went, boop,
done.
There's the game.
Done, and print a funny cover on it.
I'm sure for the games that like are only one disc, they work totally fine. Like, there's no need for it. I wonder if like that ended up being an issue for any multi-disc games though. But I don't know. I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, like I think one thing that I did want to bring up, actually, to build off of what Landon was saying, is one great thing about the PlayStation 1 is that through some means or another, either through just re-releasing digitally or by remakes, you would have a lot of PlayStation 1 games that managed to live on later on other systems.
The
Like-
PS1 classic.
Yeah, the PS1. I'd rather not talk if that's the one I think you're talking. No, I don't want to talk about that one.
Okay, we don't have.
You know,
time for that
honestly,
anymore.
if it weren't for the fact that we already have something else in store for this coming month's Patreon, I think we should go over like our own version of the PS. How would we fix the PS1 Classic? Because I think we could do a better job than Sony did.
We already talked a lot about the PS1 Classic on our Classics.
Yeah, the
Console Classics podcast.
Aftermarket Hardware podcast. That was a good episode.
Yeah.
Go check that out. And then
Yeah.
while you're at it,
Yeah,
watch
the
the
PS,
Great Ace
the
Attorney
PS
VODs.
Classic. Yeah, go watch.
Go
those.
watch the Great Ace
Get out
Attorney
there.
VODs.
Go do it.
Come on, man. What do you? If you're watching our video, you listen to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast, and you haven't seen the Great Ace Attorney
Are you
VODs.
even
what are
a
you
real
doing? Go watch the Great Ace
fan?
Attorney VODs.
To answer what Pixel was saying about the PS1 Chrono Trigger, so I'm gonna say it gets bashed on a lot, and for good reason. Outside of the loading,
Yeah,
though,
but it's
it
Chrono
is still, it's still Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
It was my first way of playing Chrono Trigger, and honestly, like I didn't mind it. Like I was just happy because I was 16 and I was like, oh, this is like an awesome game.
You get the
Like I was playing Chrono Trigger.
you get the anime inspired cutscenes.
Yeah. You get the anime FMV
Get the
cutscenes.
fucking Dragon Ball shit right up in that bitch. So like,
Yeah.
do it.
Is it a bad version to play Chrono Trigger? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is it still Chrono Trigger? Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's still like top 15 games on the fucking PlayStation 1. Changed my mind.
Yeah. But Jack.
Yeah?
We were talking about remakes and re-releases of PS1 games. So did you have any experiences with a bunch of these games after the fact, not on PS1? I'm sure you did.
He has.
I have, as a matter of fact. My first exposure to it was via the remake on the Wii, but I have played the original not via PS1 hardware, but I have played the PS1 original version of it. Klonoa, Door to Phantom Isle.
I did not put that on here, but yeah, big one.
One of my favorite. I mean, it feels weird to say one of my favorite PS1 games because I haven't played a ton of PS1 games, but genuinely, I do love Klonoa Door to Phantom Isle. It's a fucking great 2D platformer, 2.5D platformer that really fucks with the... Like, for the time, the visuals in that game were insane. To, like, the level of, like, camera fuckery they were working with while still keeping the entire gameplay fully 2D was very unique. It has a really cool mechanic with the fucking ring where you like grab enemies and use it to like give yourself like a double jump or whatever. And it's a short game, you know, you can beat it in an afternoon, but like it's a classic and I love it.
That's one thing I really
And
love about the PS1 is like even with like the same genres, they had games in just different fucking styles all the time. Like you could play platformers and you had 3D platformers like Spyro or Ape Escape, but you also had 3D platformers like Crash that were more linear, but you also had 2D platformers like Mega Man, which were literally just strictly 2D, but then you'd have stuff like Klonoa, where it was 3D visually, but it was 2D mechanically, and it fucked with shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that kind of diversity where like you could play multiple different games of the same genre and still get unique experiences.
I would argue it is like one of the most visually striking video games of its generation.
Yeah.
And not that is a super high bar, because to be honest, the graphics around this time were a little rough, but it looks really nice. And I think like visually it has aged very well, actually.
Yeah. I mean, the visuals of PlayStation 1 games, it's just an early 3D era sort of problem where like a lot of them.
I'm not.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. A lot of it just doesn't hold up super well, but like there are games that have good art styles that still hold up well at least.
You know what holds up?
And that's not even to say that like
What holds up, Landon?
Sorry, go ahead.
Symphony of Night. Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
It looks
True.
good.
True.
It does. People
But it's
still
I mean, like
really
even
love
like
these
the
shows
rough
like
around
that.
the edges, like very, even like the very like rough around the edges, polygonal, like very, like sharp edges, character models, like that is sort of becoming like a nostalgic style in the same way that people do like, like 2D games with pixel art in the style of like Super Nintendo. It's like, oh, hey, here's a 3D platformer that looks like it came from the PS1 era. Like, isn't that... I haven't played it yet, but I assume that's basically what Tori Saturn is, right?
Yeah, so, like, there are quite a bit of games that, like, it might not be PS1 specifically, but there's usually, like, some early 3D era, like, inspirations for, like, the graphics. Tori Saturn's one, there's a game called X Zodiac that's supposed to look like a Star Fox style game, but with, like, Saturn graphics. Sega Saturn style graphics. Like, there's a lot of games that are coming out that are like that now, where it's like it's inspired by like PlayStation 1 and 64 Saturn.
All right, Cloud, what's your top 15 PS1 games? Go.
15? Oh, man.
K to Potato asked. Quick.
Ooh, all right. I can...
That's so many.
So I'm not going to put them in a specific order, but I think I can come up with 15.
Okay.
So Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 9. If I can count re-releases, Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
We got Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, Spyro Year of the Dragon, Ape Escape. I would definitely say Silent Hill now that I've played that. I would say that. I would say... I'm just trying to like think of like what I would put in the top 15 because I played so many. Need for Speed High Stakes. That was a really good racing game. There's a lot of really good racing games, but Need for Speed High Stakes is probably my favorite of them. So I would put that in there. I would say Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back is in there. So that makes 11. I would say Hot Shots Golf 1, sure. Yeah, I played a lot of that. I really liked just the like the courses and like unlocking the characters. It doesn't have a lot of content, so like it's not easy to go back to, but I had a blast when I played it. Trying to think of like specifically just like PS1.
Did you say
that I like the most.
Any of the Ape Escapes?
I did say Ape Escape 1.
Okay.
I did say Ape Escape 1. It's the only Ape Escape that's on the
Okay.
system. The rest of the stuff came out later. God. I did say Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 7.
Yep.
Legend of Dragoon it's in there. Like I think like looking back, it's probably like lower in my top 15, but I love Legend of Dragoon a lot. So that's 13. It's hard to pick because like I don't want to pick one and then like forget that there was another one that I liked. But
this is quick and dirty. We don't care.
Yeah. Fuck it. I'll say guilty pleasure, Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories.
Hell
like I
yeah.
can still go back to that game
Hell
and play
yeah.
it a bunch. I love it.
And you know what?
Seto Kaiba.
Ultimate Battle 22 rounds it out.
You know what?
No,
Throw in Eternal Eyes while you're at it.
Eternal Eyes.
We have yet to
God.
mention.
Yeah, no. PS1 was a system where like there was companies coming in and they were like making like knockoffs of other games purely for the sake of cashing in on the success of both a system and a genre. And Eternal Eyes was that kind of game for Final Fantasy Tactics and Pokemon at the same time. And you know what? I don't know if it'd be in my top 15, but I'm going to give that last slot to Eternal Eyes just because I do have a soft spot for it. I won't lie.
It's better than Ultimate Battle 22,
go watch that
so
LP.
that's fair.
Oh yeah. It's so you know what? I'm going to say those 15. And that's not even like the only 15 good games that I've enjoyed that I played. I've played Twisted Metal. I think I played Twisted Metal 4 and 3. I don't think I played 2 or 1. One last thing I do really want to talk about with PlayStation before we wrap up with conclusions and like talk about other shit, because this is going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast since it's mostly me, is one thing I think that's really cool about the PlayStation 1 is it came out at the perfect time for magazines, because of CD-ROMs being so cheap, to just put out free demo discs. And that's how a lot of people discovered PlayStation games, myself included, where like you'd get the newest issue of official PlayStation magazine and they'd have a demo disc for the newest issue. They'd have a new demo disc every single issue. It was crazy. And there'd be like a new issue every month. They'd have some games you might see like on there for like a couple of issues, and then slowly wean their way off. But you'd get like a few like new games, like at least every issue's new disc. And I swear to God, my family, they had a subscription, my uncle specifically, because he was like, oh, it's reading material and you get some free stuff to play. And like I had like 3 or so years worth of those discs and issues. I think he started subscribing in like 2000 and it went into 2002, because I remember like the last issues, like they were doing reviews for like some PlayStation 2 games that made me want a PlayStation 2, like Kingdom Hearts 1. There was Ico. I never played Ico, but like it looked really cool from like what I saw in like the magazine. Like they showed off like stuff on like Final Fantasy X at the time on one issue, but like there was so many demo discs. And that's how I played Ape Escape for the first time. There was a Barbie game that was like a ripoff of like Tomb Raider and Crash Bandicoot. And it was...
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it.
Yeah, we brought it up like one other time on the podcast, like only once.
Yeah,
and
it's bad.
I mean, it's not... It's bad when you compare it to those games, but it's surprisingly like okay. Like you could go back and like maybe play it, but you will definitely,
it's crazy.
You'll definitely play it and you'll be like, wow, this is just a ripoff of Crash and Tomb Raider.
It's funny how you mentioned that, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because it was It was a Barbie Explorer game, and she literally dressed in her Explorer outfit like she was Lara Croft or some shit. It was funny.
Yeah,
yeah. There was that. There was like, God, there was a bunch of games that I played on that demo disc. PlayStation 2 games as well, so like I'm trying not to mix them up. But man, like if it weren't for if it wasn't for official PlayStation magazine, like half the games that I played on PlayStation 1, like I would have never even touched in my life. So like it's thanks to like the PlayStation magazine demo discs that I got into some of my favorite games. Like if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have played Final Fantasy Tactics. You know, Threads of Fate. That's another game that I forgot to mention. Square just had way too many games for me to remember. Threads of Fate is a pretty cool action RPG. I went back to it recently, and it's not as good as I remember, but it's fun. It has good music. Just like, yeah, just demo discs. Yeah, like, God, just there's so much to play on the PlayStation. But yeah, I totally forgot we were talking about remakes and re-releases. That was what we were gonna wrap up with. And Jack, you mentioned Klonoa.
Yep.
Was there any other games you wanted to mention as far as like getting released later that you got to play?
Tony Hawk. I mean, okay, unironically though, I started with 3 and 4 and didn't get to 1 and 2 until a little bit later because they came out a little before my time because, like I said, GameCube, first home console. The first Tony Hawk game on the GameCube was 2 or 3. So, you know, I'm pretty sure, I want to say that my first experience with both of the first 2 Tony Hawk games were the PS1 versions of those games.
I'm guessing played them on,
that qualifies.
Played them on PS2, I'm guessing.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Trying to think of anything else that sticks out in my mind. I don't know.
Because for me, I mean,
I like Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah, that is a good game. That's a good game that I didn't play yet. I need to like get around to that one.
It's fun. It's a rhythm game.
Because like, I mean, I've played the remakes of. Did you ever play Crash Insane Trilogy? I don't. Yeah. You had Crash Insane Trilogy. There's Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Those are big ones. I mean, Metal Gear Solid got a remake. I don't know if anybody played either the re-release or the remake for that.
Oh yeah, I literally own Metal Gear Solid I own a PS1 copy of Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yep. So I mean, there's a bunch of avenues.
Yeah.
You played. Did you play the original Rayman?
I have a little bit. It's very hard. It's a very hard game.
Oh boy.
It's no, there's like a certain level that is just like a pretty huge difficulty spike. I haven't played it like super extensively, but I did play it at least one time back in the day, and it is more difficult than you would expect. Most people don't talk about the first Rayman because of that.
Yeah. Whenever I hear about Rayman, it's always like Rayman 2. So like I always wondered like what the first Rayman was like. Landon, what about you?
It's a 2D platformer, and it's balls hard.
I think we covered most of the stuff already that I've played.
That you've already played?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to get up real quick. Jack, can you do the housekeeping?
That's my job.
And
that's me.
We should have the exact same 2 gold tier Stooges as last month. So you can shout them out, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. What's up, guys? It's me. It's your boy.
What? No.
I'm gonna tell you about the Gaming Stooges
Yes,
Patreon.
You can do that.
I can do that. Hey, we have a Patreon where you can join and subscribe to us for the $3 or $5 a month tiers, the silver and gold stooge tiers. At the silver stooge tier, you get access to a ton of... I mean, at this point, it's a ton. We do 1 video a month, but like we have a lot of we have a lot of exclusive videos available on our Patreon. We do 1 a month. We have one that will be coming out later this month that Cloud and I will be doing. And
have you guys recorded it yet?
I don't know if we've...
Okay.
No, not yet. Cloud wants me to do some... I don't know if I'm allowed to say what
He's
it
not
is
here.
yet or not. I forget if we were keeping it a secret. We're doing a review. True. We're doing a review of Pokemon Legends ZA since I just recently beat it. But he wants me to do some post game stuff before we do the video. So look forward to that at some point this month. In addition to exclusive content, you also have the option of choosing the content you see in the future. You can always suggest ideas to us in our Discord, which you can join. But we have polls a lot of the time for podcast topics, future streams, other things. I think
that's mostly what we use polls
this
for.
video or this mostly this podcast in particular, like Cloud mentioned earlier, was a poll. PS1 was the poll winner versus the NES retrospective. So yeah, you get to decide on the content you see in the future, and honestly, 1 vote has a lot more sway than you might think, because there's not a lot of people that are voting. So, and at the gold tier, I almost did the same thing you did, Cloud. At the gold tier stooge level, you get all that, plus a personal shout out from us. Shout out to Al, shout out to Pixel, who are the 2 gold tier stooge members at the moment. They're both in the
Hell
chat
yeah.
right now,
Hell
so
yeah.
thank you guys for subscribing. As far as streams lately, still going at it in Yakuza 0. I am 18 streams deep, soon
So
to be
he's about
19.
1% of the
tomorrow.
way through the game.
Yeah, about something like that. I'll probably get it done by like stream 1,275, something like that.
Give or take.
But no, I'm probably like halfway through the game, a little bit more at this point. Landon just recently started Dragon Quest V: Hand of the Heavenly Bride on his very real Nintendo DS. Cloud very recently just started
Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule
I'm trying to
GB.
There it is. I was trying to remember what the name of the game was. Monster Capsule GB as a part of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Years collection,
Early
which
Days
was
collection.
released fairly recently.
Early Days collection.
Early
Days,
weeks
sorry.
collection.
It's a weird combination of like a strategy RPG mixed with some tabletop RPG mixed with like structurally it's like Pokemon trading card game, but also it has gacha elements because you like go to like the little capsule machines and you just like randomly throw star chips in and try to get little capsule monsters out of it. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
So yeah, it is a lot more fun than I was expecting. Like that game is too well made and too much fun for a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh licensed game from 1990 something.
I wonder if they were developing something else and then Konami was like, Yu-Gi-Oh it.
Turn that into a Yu-Gi-Oh. Maybe.
Yeah. It's not,
Who knows?
it wouldn't be the only game that's ever had that happen to it. So,
For sure.
no.
So, Landon, yeah, how's did you want to say any words about Dragon Quest V besides, you know,
it has been fun. We just got done with the first segment of the game, where you are a child, and spoilers for Dragon Quest V. I escaped slavehood, so there's that. I mean,
I did not realize that was a part of the game.
You watched it. You were there for that. I was literally like, after more spoilers for Dragon Quest V, a like 1,000-year-old game in a 4,000-year-old franchise. Your father dies, and then you and then the prince are like put into slavery like for 10 years.
I didn't realize that part happened.
Oh yeah.
I do know about like the
Yeah.
I do know about like the generational aspect of it, but I didn't know that you like get captured and go into slavery.
Yeah, because they talk about it in like a slightly earlier in the game, but like there's like a cult essentially that is like kidnapping people, especially children, and like forcing them to do like labor. It's fucked up. So we're dealing with that, but we escaped, and now we're wrangling monsters. We're doing the titular dragon questing, but with monsters in our party. And I have a very totally legit, very real, 100% recruited the regular way metal slime now. So we'll be busting them out. Start
Good job, Landon.
Next stream.
Of course.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I have.
Was that everything?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, conclusions
that's it.
about the PlayStation, then we'll talk about other shit. I mean, did you guys have any words to say about the PlayStation 1?
The PlayStation 1 is, I mean, it's objectively a very influential and very important console for video games as a whole. It has a lot of great games on it. I just don't have a lot of first-hand experience with it.
Especially the console itself.
And that's pretty much the end of my thoughts.
There is a number of games I want to either revisit or like, because I've only played like part of it, or like just didn't finish it, like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Cross are like two that come to mind, and then I'm going to be playing Final Fantasy Tactics at some point this year. So there's like games that like were on the system. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is another one that I want to play. That originated in some form on this console. So like I think it's cool. I just like I give zero shits about the console itself because like I just don't have the personal attachment to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the person here that like I have a lot of sentimental value for it. You know, when I think about 3D gaming, especially in the early years of 3D gaming, like the N64 has a lot of great games, and in fact, we'll be able to talk about the N64 on its own podcast probably later this season.
Oh God,
we'll probably slot that in somewhere next season, because we're at the end of season 3 now. Yes. We're going to be starting season 4. So like maybe we'll probably talk about it then. But as far as like when it comes to how I feel about like what do I think about at first, it's probably PS1. Like I've just played too much PS1 games growing up. There's just so much that's near and dear to me. It was a lot of my formative years was like PS1. As I said, like even though there was like some overlap where I played like Genesis and Super Nintendo and PlayStation 2 and Game Boy. Like PS1 was there for like a really long part of my life. So like I love PS1 to death. I think it's an incredible system. That said, I mean, you don't really need to play PlayStation 1 itself nowadays to get the great library of PlayStation 1 games, because there's so many re-releases. There's games that are better in their respective series that you could easily just play instead on other systems. There's remakes. There's so many ways to play PlayStation 1 games and series that playing PlayStation 1 itself is not a necessity, but it still lives up to like just the test of time more so than not, in my opinion.
I mean,
but like even if you don't play PlayStation 1, there's so many games you should play that came out on PlayStation 1.
if you pay like $500,000 a month, you can have a Netflix streaming service of PlayStation classics. I'm pretty sure that's the current price point of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Ew.
Something like that.
Something like
it's pretty
that.
close.
But I mean, it's like, it is something that's out there that it is an option for people to be able to.
It is an
play.
option for some people.
Yeah. Would I rather
Like
them
there are some
do-
people that like they really liked.
Would I rather them just like, here's a disc of 30 PlayStation classics on like the PlayStation 5, or I guess PS4? Why not?
Yeah.
Kate to Potato would like to know, and this is going to be the last thing on the PS1 we're going to talk about, where the PS1 ranks in the usefulness as a brick tier list. Man,
Original model, very useful.
Very useful.
very useful.
PS1 remodel, not even
You know
close.
what? That sounds
0
like a
out of 10
Patreon
brick. It has
video.
it's too rounded.
Sounds like a Patreon video topic.
Which consoles make the best
Yeah.
bricks? You know what?
I think that the Xbox
it.
360 is the best one.
Which one?
Which one?
The
Yeah.
original Xbox 360. Because
pretty good
chances
brick.
are that's all a lot of them are good
because the
for.
because the system itself
You got
bricks.
it. You got it.
I get
Anyway.
it.
Hey Jack, what have you been up to?
Anyway.
But then actually though, the Xbox One is the ultimate brick because it's gigantic and is brick shaped.
The giant VCR.
But anyway, PlayStation 1, that's all we have to say about PlayStation 1.
We're done.
Jack, what you been up to?
What have I been up to lately?
Yeah, so just as a refresher, we didn't get to really talk about what we've been up to outside of the podcast for like a month, because our last podcast was a year in review that took a long time to go through. So it's been a hot minute.
I know. I didn't even get the chance to gas up the fucking national championship Indiana Hoosiers, because that happened 2 days after the championship, and I was very, very happy about it, but we had zero time to talk about it after the podcast. But fuck yeah, the dog shit football team that I've been rooting for since I was a kid suddenly became good, and then they won the championship, and I'm thrilled. So, hell yeah. Go Hoosiers. It should have taken longer.
Well, I agree because I didn't edit it.
I think it was Yeah. Outside of that, though, it's been pretty slow for me the last few weeks. I would say I'm getting very, very close to finishing Donkey Kong. I am on Sublayer 1200, which I think is close to the end,
pretty close.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's pretty
close.
There's a few more like
I don't think,
major layers.
but there's nothing like that's. There's like maybe one more that's like the stupid massive size, if I remember right.
I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Anyway, continue what we think.
So like a few more sub-layers, but having fun with Donkey Kong. I talked about it a lot in our Patreon video last month, and also we talked about it in our previous podcast, so I feel like I don't need to talk about it that much. Donkey Kong Bonanza, fucking great. Great game. Classic. Excuse me. Haven't played it yet. Just the other day, I beat Pokemon Legends ZA finally. Yay, I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. And as I mentioned earlier, Cloud and I have a review for that game coming out soon.
Yep.
Look for it on your local Gaming Stooges Patreon.
All you need to do is subscribe
so I'll try
for
to
$3 a month at the Silver Stooge tier to get that.
If you want to just subscribe once for $3 to listen to us talk about Pokemon Legends ZA, then that works too.
You can do that, and then there's like 30 other cool things that you can get from us as well. So like,
yeah, you can watch a bunch of other shit too. But I think that's about it for video games. Recently I got Bethany into Animal Crossing. She had never like fully played an Animal Crossing game before. She like the only real experience with a series she had prior to recently starting up New Horizons was playing a bit of Happy Home Designer when I lent her my 3DS. And she is loving Animal Crossing New Horizons so far. She has been addicted to that game and has been playing it for like when the chance arises, she will play it for like multiple hours a day. And just like sit there and just like, and I'm like, are you having fun? And she'll go, yeah. It's great. I love it. Not a lot of shit. People I know who don't like games like New Horizons. Yeah, no, it's great. She likes video games. I mean, she plays other video games, but she was always like a Sims kid. Like more about the like house decorating and like interior design than the actual like interacting with the people. But no, she's been enjoying the hell out of Animal Crossing so far. The only major thing I've done in the last month is go to a single show where I got to see Antarctigo Vespucci the other day.
Nice.
Which is, hell yeah, the fakest sounding band name of all time. Yeah.
For the listeners,
the fakest sounding,
he's wearing a shirt of the band.
Yeah, it's the fakest sounding band name of all time until I explain to them who's in the band, and then they're like, "Oh,
I still don't get it."
Who? It's Jeff Rosenstock and Chris Farron's side project, and they announced a little while ago. They announced their first tour as Antarctigo Vespucci in like almost 8 years.
It's been a long time.
Like pretty much since their last album came out, they have not toured together in a long ass time, and I have never seen them live before until just recently, and it was extremely fun. I had a blast. I feel like it's been a really long time since I can't remember the last time I was a fan of a band for that long, because I've been listening to them for probably a decade. And then I go into the show and it's like, I know every single one of these songs. I know all the fucking words to all of these songs because I've just been listening to them for so long. And it's like, usually when I get into a band, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go see them live, like within the year at least. But nah, they're great. They just don't tour a lot. And we went to Chicago for that one because they announced the Chicago date before they announced the rest of the tour, which if I had I would have gone to Detroit instead because it's a way easier drive, but I don't regret going. It was a sold out show. It was really fun. It was worth driving through a fucking blizzard on the way home because there was the drive home from Chicago to where I live is pretty much just like a straight shot for like 2.5 solid hours once you leave like the Chicago metro area, and it fucking blizzarded on the way home. And it was also like really fucking, it was like in the wee hours of the night, like after midnight local time, and it was really fucking coming down. Like we were driving probably like 25-30 miles an hour on the highway for a while, and it was stressful, but we made it home at like 4:30 in the morning.
Al says it sounds fun.
I mean, better to make it home at 4:30 in the morning than to not make it home at all. So
yeah, no, 100%. I'm like, I think of myself as a good snow driver, and that was still like tricky.
That's awesome.
But otherwise, that's pretty much everything I've been up to lately.
Yeah.
Cloud, how about you?
Well,
You've been playing some Persona 5 Royal.
I have been, and in fact, I've only been playing it for 3 weeks. I'm already 90 hours in, and I've already almost gotten to the end of where Persona 5 base game ends. Like, I'm right about to
Hell
do
yeah,
I'm
brother.
right about to do base game's last dungeon, and then I'll be able to do the extra, like, Royal exclusive, like, extra content that comes after. So that's gonna be fun, because I haven't experienced any of that part yet. Um, and then I played through the first Yeast game. I played Yeast 1 Chronicles, the PSP remake. I started Yeast 2 Chronicles, but I haven't gotten super far. I got to like this like ice mountain area that's like about a couple hours in. But I mean, Yeast 1 and 2 are pretty short, so I might actually be like a decent way into the game. So yeah, Yeast is fun. I feel like I probably need to play more of the games to like get a better like solidified feel for how I feel about them. I heard that there's supposed to be re-releases handled by a publisher that likes to port old games from like Falcom and other like developers like that. That's trying to get the turbo engine. I just fused the fucking names together. The PC engine / TurboGrafx versions of the Yeast games that were on that to modern systems. There was like a rumor going around that they're trying to get that and a bunch of other games from that system. So I'm hoping they do that, but at the same time, I'm like, I might just be fine with just the PSP remakes, because they also did a PSP remake for 3 as well with The Oath and Felghana. So like I could play that for Yeast Theory instead, and I probably am better off with that, because I learned that Yeast 3 on the TurboGrafx is actually like a side scroller, which is weird. I don't know if I'm gonna if I would like that.
That is
like
weird.
I like the way that Yeast 1 and 2 already play as top down. So I'd probably rather play a version of Yeast 3 that goes back to having the top down, an actual regular action RPG like gameplay like the first 2 do. But I'm enjoying it. Like it's like I'm definitely not like over the moon about it, but I'm also just playing like the first 2 games. So like who knows? I might like them more later on. That's pretty much it for like games that I can think of, because like everything else is stuff that like we went over on like the podcast, because like I was pretty much devoting myself to like games that were like 2025 releases that ended up there. So like I was earlier in the year, I was just playing Kirby Air Riders, Donkey Kong Bonanza, all that other cool stuff. We did have a huge blizzard over here too. It went through like half the fucking country almost, and being someone that lives in Massachusetts, I am used to this kind of shit. And even then, it was really fucking crazy. Like we have snowbanks still piled up, like with like just like a good solid like feet or more of snow, that because of just how much snow came down. And like for quite a few days, like last week, we had this weird fluctuation of temperature where it was like just warm enough where like snow was melting off the roofs, but just cold enough at points where it was forming icicles. And then the icicles would get longer. And like I had icicles outside of my window that like if like they were regular size icicles, I wouldn't really see them because they would maybe only go up to like the top part of my window. But like I had icicles that were coming down to like eye level bottom of my window, and I was just like, what the hell is this? Like it was scary. Like thankfully like it's pretty much gone for me now, but like my neighbor still has like really long icicles coming from the front of their house. It's wild. So like we had a huge blizzard. Thankfully we didn't lose power. There was no power loss anywhere in my area to speak of. So like our infrastructure was good. We didn't have to worry about that. So thank God for that, because the snow is insane. But I I don't think that anything outside of just work has really been happening. I do want to actually mention one thing, not for me, but for Allison, because this is a big deal. So Allison is normally a very primarily digital gamer. She buys her games digitally so she can just have them on hand, so she can just play them that way. But she actually bought a physical game the other day, and I was really surprised. And not just any physical game. She imported a Japanese copy of for a physical game for her Nintendo Switch. So there's like, I guess apparently, so there's a mobile rhythm. There's a bunch of like really popular like mobile games that are like rhythm games, and apparently one of those rhythm games, called Bang Dream, got a Switch port that like goes up to like a certain point in like the game's lifespan on mobile. When the Switch game came out, I think it was like 2021-ish. And they put out a Switch port. So she actually imported a Japanese physical copy of Bang Dream in order to play it on her Switch, so that she didn't have to deal with the free-to-play model of mobile games. And yeah, I just thought that was cool, because like she never buys physical games. So the fact that she not only bought a physical game, but also like imported one, like I thought that was really cool. Also,
Hell yeah.
not really worth showing, but Landon, remember how you got me Dragon Quest XI-S, Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch family of entertainment systems?
I may or may not have been present for that.
Well, when Landon got me that game way back, it came in a plain black case with no insert or anything. So I actually bought just a case for that game. So it actually has its proper home now.
Good.
It deserves it.
Good.
It's the best Nintendo Switch game. Fight me.
Ooh,
I mean,
okay.
I'm saying it.
It
tracks with everything I've said. So
It's up there.
it tracks with everything I've said.
I'm
so far.
saying it.
I'm just saying.
It's definitely up there.
But yeah,
I'll agree to a point. I think there's a couple that I like slightly more, but it's definitely there's a fan.
No, I mean I would say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then I would probably say Dragon Quest 11. But yeah, it's got a case now. And speaking of Dragon Quest, I probably am going to try and go out tomorrow. By the time this goes out to other platforms, I should have Dragon Quest 7 reimagined. We mentioned Dragon Quest 7 earlier, because this is happening right around the release of the remake, reimagining, quote unquote. So I honestly, by the time this goes out to other platforms, I may have actually started playing the game because of how much I've been tearing through Persona 5 Royal. So we'll see. That's pretty much it.
What about you, Landon?
I got food.
He's got
a plate of food.
He's got a plate of food. It looks pretty good. Is that?
Sorry, just made it.
What you got?
Is that?
It's chicken and rice with like vegetable on the chicken. Anyway.
Nice.
What have I been playing? Mostly just Dragon Quest II HD 2D remake for the Nintendo Switch family of entertainment systems on the Nintendo Switch 2 of family entertainment systems. Because
Is it really a family of entertainment systems?
So
if
there's only one
model so far.
Yeah.
Can a single person be their own family?
Does that single person have any pets?
I guess, because could you count the
What are the pets of the Nintendo Switch 2?
I don't know.
I've got the pet.
I don't know.
It's this thing. This is the pet.
Oh yeah, the fucking USB-C camera.
You know what? Landon? For that, I will say yes.
I got the pet.
That is a family of entertainment
It's the family
systems.
of the family is encompassing a USB-C camera, extra controllers, and the Pro controller. Got it. Click.
It's the family of entertainment system because there's only one.
Family of entertainment system. Anyway, hi folks. Yeah, just a lot
Singular.
of Dragon Quest 2. Has been mostly what I've been
We're
playing.
going to talk about the Dragon Quest Airdrop trilogy soon.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. I am pretty close to 30 hours in. I just obtained the Fairy Flute today. So I have all 5 of the sigils. I got the Fairy Flute. I'm following there's like a mini side quest where you follow the guy around that you get the fairy flute from.
Oh yeah, yep.
As he
did that.
goes through the hero from Dragon Quest 1, also apparently known as Erdrick, because everyone's Erdrick. If you didn't know this, every fucker is Erdrick. When they say Erdrick, I'm like, oh, Dragon Quest 3, and they're like, Dragon Quest 1. I'm like, oh, Dragon Quest 11, Dragon Quest 3. Oh.
One of the first things you need to learn as a Dragon Quest fan when it comes to like the early games is that Erdrick is actually not a name but a title.
Yeah, it is, but they refer to it as a name.
And apparently there can be a lot of Erdricks.
Yeah, there is. I mean, that's not even going into like there's like a whole manga series that covers like a different like character that is also an Erdrick. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, Dragon Quest 2. I can't wait to, like, I hope they eventually make a sequel to Dragon Quest 2 that refers to all of the princes and princesses as just Erdrick, as, like, a singular Erdrick. And it's like, but that was 4 people, and they're like, Erdrick did this. And I'm like, but once again, that was 3 to 4 people, depending on what version of the game you played. It's like, Erdrick did it. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, I'm just put fucking Dragon Quest into my veins right now. That's where I'm at. I like, you know,
you're at, yeah.
It's like one of those things where like people are like, will you ever get tired of X thing if you just consume it too much? Like, if I just go to a buffet every day and just eat buffet food, will I die? The answer is just keep giving me buffet food. I just because I played, you know, Dragon Quest 1 HD2D when the actual collection came out. I was in the middle playing Dragon Quest 4. I just started 5 at the same time I like started Dragon Quest 2 HD2D, and I'm just like, I'm still like.
And I'm guessing it won't be long before you play 7.
There'll be a pause because there's a couple games I want to attempt to play some of for some podcasts that are coming up. So I have to go back and revisit some little tidbits to some people out there for upcoming episodes.
Landon saw me catching up to him on Dragon Quest games, and he was like, stop that shit.
Well, I mean, I'm revisiting.
Gotta pull ahead.
I'm revisiting games that I've played. I'm not going any faster than I have.
True.
Like, I'm streaming a game for 2 hours once a week.
2 hours a week.
You're gonna pass me, and that's gonna happen. That's fine. I'm here. I'm just glad that I could help be the catalyst for you to return to the series and like enjoy it.
Sure.
Yeah. But like, so I have to go back and finish Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. Spoilers. I have to maybe play some Metroid Federation Force. Spoilers. And then Pokemon Ultra Sun. I have to sit down and play through all of spoilers. So there you go. And then
Jack, did you have any other games that you were planning to get to? Yeah, since we're kind of.
Oh, I already said.
I guess you said everything.
Patreon.
Okay.
I mean, I said what I was going to do, like what games I'm getting to next. Is that what your question is?
I was just making sure, like you mentioned. Soon. We might as well just say what are our plans for the near future of what we're trying to play.
I want to play. I mentioned it in the Patreon video, but I want to play Trails in the Sky First Chapter and Metroid Prime 4 after I beat Pokemon Legends EA, which I did, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I'm getting there. I'm close to.
Which layer did you say
Al
you just
wants
finished?
Landon to catch up to him with Trails.
God, no.
I'm on 1200 right now.
You've got there's one more big-ish layer. I double checked. There's one more big-ish layer.
Okay.
But you're about to start after I think the next one after 1200 is probably one of my favorites. And I don't know if Cloud agrees with this, but Groovy Layer.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Okay, never mind. It sucks. Anyway, last comment to Al's catch up with me in Trails. I'm working on it. I've only been putting off Reverie for fucking 17 years.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
I still have to get to Trails, but like it's like I have a queue. Like I Trails is gonna be like a little bit further in because like after I finish Persona 5 Royal, gotta play Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined. After I finish Ys 2 Chronicles, I want to start playing Persona 1 on PSP, and then after that, that's when I will get to Trails of Cold Steel because I have played it and never finished it. And as I said before, I really want to get through games that I had started at some point and try to actually play through them. And then after Trails of Cold Steel, I'm hoping to get to Trails in the Sky first chapter and pick up from the demo where I left off. So like, that's probably going to be like the next several months.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I'm hoping. It's like either I start Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined as soon as I finish up with those other games that I mentioned, or I go into Reverie. It's like that's would be the option I go with. Like, do I want to like jump into Reverie?
Depends on whether you want more Trails or you want more Dragon Quest.
I mean, I have
tough choice.
Like second chapter remake is like supposedly going to be this fall. So we'll see. And Lord knows I will cut anything I'm playing off and just start playing that immediately because that's what I want to play. Because that game is so fucking good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, all right. That is going to be it. So we talked about the PlayStation 1. We gave it some flowers. We caught everything up for the last month or so of what we've been up to since we had that big podcast the last a couple weeks ago, wrapping up 2025. But we'll be back next time where we'll be able to talk about the Nintendo Entertainment System. The North American release of the Famicom is our next episode. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. But we'll catch you again in another episode. Till then, take care and see you next time. Roll the outro. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time.